Good.
Und das ist Lilly.
Our story begins with Layla, a stunning young woman whose beauty is impossible to ignore and whose femininity is impossible to miss. At the time, she had just broken up with her boyfriend, so she decided to escape her routine and travel to the Spanish island of Mallorca to spend a vacation with her younger sister, Freya. But what Layla didn't know was that the island wasn't just about sunshine and beaches. It was hiding adventures that would soon have her blood boiling. As soon as she arrived, Freya welcomed her and took her to the secluded seaside villa they had inherited from their parents. The villa was surrounded by peace and quiet, but behind that calmness, a storm was brewing. That's where Layla met Manu, her sister's fiancé. She was shocked to discover that her sister had gotten engaged without telling her. Manu wasn't looking at Layla normally. His eyes were clearly wandering over her body, making her uncomfortable, especially after she learned that he planned to go into business with her sister using her inheritance money. To take her mind off everything, they went out that night to a nightclub. There, Layla's eyes landed on Tom, the manager of the place. Tom was incredibly handsome, and his bold gaze immediately caught her attention. Within seconds, they found themselves drawn toward each other through the crowd, before heading up to the rooftop in the darkness. Under the moonlight, their faces were close, and the chemistry between them was intense enough to set the whole place on fire. Tom began moving closer to her with obvious attraction, and Layla, who had been lonely for some time, slowly started giving in to his charm. His words and gentle touches made her forget everything around her. The next morning, the atmosphere was tense. Freya asked her sister to sell the villa so she could start a new life with Manu, but Layla refused. It wasn't just because of the inheritance. Layla had also started to realize that Manu was greedy, and that there was something seriously wrong with him. Things get even more intense when Nikki, the real estate agent, shows up. Her eyes are filled with greed as she tells the two sisters that an offer they simply can't refuse has been made for the villa. But Layla stands her ground and completely refuses to sell. That's when we discover the shocking truth. Nikki isn't just a real estate agent. She's also the owner of the nightclub where Tom works, meaning she controls his entire livelihood. After what happened, Nikki summoned Tom and gave him a dirty assignment. She ordered him to use his charm, seduce Layla, get her emotionally attached to him, and convince her to sign the sale papers at any cost. Tom tried to refuse, but Nikki threatened to destroy him if he didn't follow her orders. With no other choice, Tom was forced to play the role of a love-struck man just to save himself from Nikki's sinister plan. The next day, the water pipes in the villa suddenly burst, flooding the entire place. And, of course, we already know who's behind it. Layla went outside looking for help, and somehow, Tom appeared right in front of her. The moment she saw him, she became nervous and was about to walk away out of embarrassment. But Tom cleverly stepped closer and whispered something that instantly made her heart race. "Nobody here can help you except me." Those words were enough to make Layla give in and ask him to come inside the villa. Tom pretended to be fixing the problem, but the water was still shut off. Layla desperately needed a shower to calm her nerves, so Tom suggested that she use the bathroom at his place. Surrounded by the steam from the hot water, with Layla still soaked from the shower, the atmosphere between them became increasingly intense. Tom didn't waste the opportunity. He moved closer to her with confidence, and Layla, overwhelmed by her feelings, finally surrendered to his charm, his gentle touches, and his sweet words. That night wasn't just about fixing broken pipes. It was the night Layla crossed a line she never thought she would cross with Tom, losing control of both her emotions and her desires. As the days go by, Layla becomes completely obsessed with Tom and starts falling deeply in love with him. For his sake, and because she wants to make her sister happy, she finally agrees to sign the papers to sell the villa. Meanwhile, Freya is over the moon with happiness, celebrating and already making plans for her future with Manu. But even though Layla is deeply involved with Tom, she slowly starts coming to her senses. She begins to feel that something is seriously wrong with Manu and that a bigger scheme is being set up around them. Eventually, she gives in to her suspicions and decides to dig into Manu's past. And sure enough, she tracks down his former girlfriend, Bia. Still bitter and furious over what happened to her, Bia opens the gates of hell and reveals the truth. Manu is a professional con artist who specializes in targeting women and taking their money. Layla is left stunned. And things get even worse when the plumber confirms that the villa's pipes didn't break on their own. They had been deliberately cut. That means her meeting with Tom had been carefully planned from the very beginning. But the biggest shock comes when Layla attends a party at Nikki's house. There, she sees Tom surrounded by Nikki's family, laughing and joking as if he were one of them. Layla's world turns upside down. Why would the manager of a nightclub be hanging out at the real estate agent's house like he was part of the family? At that moment, her suspicions become certainty. Layla decides to play the game too, but on her own terms. That same day, while Tom is away, she breaks into his house and opens his laptop. What she finds is horrifying. There are folders filled with photos of her and her sister, taken during private moments without their knowledge. Then Tom walks in and finds Layla like a volcano ready to erupt, holding his laptop and smashing it as she screams at him in anger and betrayal. Tom tries to explain himself and finally admits that he had been given a mission to make Layla sign the papers, but he insists that he was forced into it and that after getting to know her, he genuinely fell in love with her. Layla is overwhelmed by pain and betrayal. She lashes out at him with all her strength, tears streaming down her face as everything she believed about him comes crashing apart. But in the middle of the confrontation, as they got closer and their breaths mingled, the anger suddenly turned into something completely different. Amid the chaos of the house and the heated confrontation, the two of them finally gave in to their overwhelming feelings, a wild desire fueled by both revenge and love. The confrontation ended with the two of them in each other's arms, proving that sometimes the body can betray the mind. Despite everything Tom had done, Layla still couldn't completely escape the spell he had over her senses. The next morning, Layla woke up in Tom's arms after having a nightmare. Meanwhile, Nikki was inside her own house, threatening Layla with a gun. She stopped playing games and made her intentions crystal clear. "Sign over the villa, or you won't like what happens next." Despite being terrified, Layla stood her ground, confronted Nikki, and threw her out. What Layla didn't know was that her refusal would come at a terrible price. Things spiraled completely out of control when Bia was found dead. The news hit Freya like a thunderbolt. She finally woke up from her love-induced blindness and realized that Manu was a monster. At that point, the two sisters had no one left to turn to except Tom. Layla was still afraid to trust him, but the regret and genuine love she saw in his eyes convinced her to give him one last chance. While they were alone in the garden, Tom approached her and apologized. His heartfelt words softened her heart, if only a little. But the moment didn't last. In a sudden act of betrayal, Manu and Grassol kidnapped Freya and took her to the top of a high rocky cliff overlooking the sea. Grassol pointed a gun at Layla and threatened to kill her sister unless she signed the papers immediately. Tom was standing there, pretending to still be on their side. But at the crucial moment, Tom turned into a lion. In one swift move, he attacked Manu, grabbed the gun from him, and shot him in the leg. At that moment, Layla seizes the opportunity and tells her sister to run immediately. Tom grabs Layla's hand, and they exchange one final look filled with sacrifice and understanding. Then, together, they leap from the cliff straight into the sea. That jump becomes the beginning of their new lives. As soon as they make it back to shore, they hear police sirens approaching. Tom had outsmarted them all. He had already informed the police about everything from the very beginning. In the end, Manu and Grassol are arrested, bringing their nightmare to an end behind bars. And that's when Layla and Tom's real story finally begins, a story that didn't start with a trap, but was born from chaos, passion, and fire. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next movie. And tell me in the comments, would you have forgiven Tom after everything he did? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.